Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters in Islam, today I invite you to open your hearts and minds to a special call. A call that resonates in the silence of souls. A call that only Allah's chosen ones can hear. This 1st of June, a date that may seem ordinary to many, carries within it a unique spiritual vibration. A moment that the Creator has reserved for those whose hearts are ready to receive the light. In this world, where noise and distraction reign supreme, hearing Allah's call is not given to everyone. It is not a cry or an audible message, but rather a silent invitation, a gentle whisper that penetrates the soul and transforms silently. Many will miss it without even realizing it, preoccupied with their worries, desires, and illusions. But some who have already begun to purify their hearts, who have embarked on this difficult path of abandoning futile attachments, will feel this inner thrill. This June 1st call is no coincidence. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, chooses moments and souls. This day is a spiritual crossroads, an invisible door opening to invite profound transformation. Those who hear this invitation will be marked. They may not know it immediately, but a new light will begin to shine within them, a light that will gently lead them away from the darkness of the world and bring them closer to divine truth. Whether in prayer, in the silence of the night, or in the tumult of everyday life, this whisper arrives. It touches humble hearts, those who sincerely seek the presence of Allah, those who aspire to a life that transcends the limits of the material and the visible. June 1st, my brothers, is a meeting with your soul. It is not a celebration, nor a spectacular event. It is an intimate moment, a personal call that everyone can hear if they open their hearts sufficiently. Today, I invite you to prepare yourselves to receive this divine breath, to welcome what comes without fear, no doubt, but with confidence and patience. For this path is demanding. It requires perseverance, sincerity, and a willingness to let oneself be guided by Allah, even when all seems lost around one. June 1st is here to awaken those who sleep, to shake those who are asleep, to awaken the chosen ones, the chosen hearts who alone will know how to hear the call. What many call a simple date on the calendar becomes for Allah's chosen ones a moment of inner transformation, an invisible sign that only the pure of heart can discern. This June 1st, it is not a loud voice or a spectacular miracle that is announced, but a subtle presence, a gentle stirring in the soul, an invitation to reconnect with the source of all life. This is what I call the inner sign, that thrill that passes through you without explanation, that light weight that presses on your heart, that breath that encourages you to look beyond appearances. Many feel this spiritual vibration without understanding why. Perhaps you felt a kind of unease, a diffused dissatisfaction, or a sudden impulse toward prayer, the remembrance of Allah or silence. This is no accident. Allah speaks to His chosen ones through this inner murmur. It awakens their conscience, revives their faith, gently shakes the roots of a tree that seemed dead. This divine breath is an invitation to leave the superficial, to return to the essential, to abandon worldly distractions and cultivate inner peace. But this call is not addressed to everyone, because not everyone is ready to hear it. Some hearts are too heavy, too mired in worries and passions to perceive this subtle movement. Others are locked in a spiritual indifference that prevents them from seeing the signs of Allah. The veil then covers their souls, preventing them from receiving that which could save them. This is the greatness and wisdom of Allah, not to force the light on those who are not ready, but to reveal His light to those He has chosen and prepared. Those who hear this call are already on the path, even if they do not always realize it. Their hearts are like fragile vessels, yet ready to receive the rain of mercy. They may have gone through trials, moments of darkness and doubt, but this inner turmoil is a sign that the light is near. It is the awakening of a deep faith, a sincere love for Allah, a genuine quest for truth. June 1st will be a pivotal moment for them, a spiritual turning point, a moment when their souls say yes to Allah's call, when their hearts begin to cast off the shackles of the past, when they begin to walk toward a new life, purer and closer to their Creator. It is not a promise of ease, but the promise of a transformation that changes everything. It is important to understand that not everyone hears this call. In fact, many pass by without even noticing it. The spiritual veil, this invisible barrier, covers the hearts of those who have allowed their worldly concerns to occupy all their attention, who are blinded by fleeting pleasures and distracted by the tumult of this worldly life. They move forward like sleepers, walking without awareness, without realizing that the call of Allah is there, present, vibrant, ready to touch their souls, but their hearts remain closed. This veil is not a punishment, but a natural consequence of their choices. When we move away from the light, we eventually no longer see it, even if it shines right in front of us. It is a harsh yet gentle reminder that this worldly life is only a trial, a test, and that the heart cannot feed on what is temporary. Only the chosen ones, those whose hearts have been opened by Allah, can see this veil and move beyond it. They are the ones who, despite difficulties, keep the faith, who seek the truth even when it is hidden, who persist in dhikr and prayer even when the world turns its back on them. This spiritual veil is often reinforced by negligence, by the lack of time given to Allah, by the constant distraction of screens, social networks, material goods, and immediate pleasures. The heart gradually darkens, and the ears becomes deaf to the inner voice. This is why the call of June 1st is of capital importance. It is a unique opportunity offered to the chosen ones, an invitation to awaken, to break this veil, to return to the light. The greatness of Allah also lies in the fact that He does not leave His chosen ones alone. Even if the veil seems thick, even if the path seems long, those who hear the call will be guided to the truth. Their faith, however fragile, is a flame that nothing can extinguish. They will feel in their hearts a new strength, a renewed courage to face trials, to abandon that which separates them from their Creator. They will understand that this veil, this apparent distance, is a test of endurance and patience, a process of purification. Ultimately, this step is a reminder to all. Let your heart be open. Let your faith be alive. Let your relationship with Allah be sincere. Otherwise, you risk missing out on what could be the turning point in your spiritual life. Only the chosen ones, those whose hearts Allah has enlightened, will truly hear this call. And their journey toward the light will begin that day. The spiritual call of June 1st is an invisible whisper, a breath that only certain hearts can perceive. It is not a cry or a dazzling light, but a gentle, almost secret invitation that the Creator addresses to His chosen ones. Allah sometimes chooses to isolate those He loves, not to punish them, but to purify them, to allow them to draw closer to Him in profound silence, far from the tumult of the world. This period of isolation is not abandonment, but a favor, a sacred space where the soul can recharge, rebuild itself, and finally hear the call it has been waiting for. Those who experience this withdrawal, this inner solitude, must understand that it is a sign of closeness to Allah. This time of distance from others, from constant distraction, is a privileged moment when the veil of this world is gradually lifted, revealing the clarity of faith. In this almost mystical atmosphere, the elect are invited to listen, not with their ears, but with their hearts, to perceive what words cannot express, to grasp this divine presence that gently envelops them. This spiritual isolation can seem harsh, even painful. We may feel the temptation to give up, the weight of loneliness or doubt. Yet, it is precisely in this ordeal that profound transformation takes place. Allah purifies hearts by temporarily removing what distracts them, what distances them from the truth. June 1st thus becomes a tipping point, where those who have accepted this solitude are born into a new life, stronger, brighter, more anchored in faith. It is important to understand that this kind of call is not for the masses. It is reserved for those whose hearts have been prepared, for those who have already taken a step toward Allah, who have resisted the temptations of the world, who have sought the light even in the darkest moments. For these chosen ones, June 1st is a sacred moment, a meeting with their spiritual destiny. They may not see this change immediately, but they will know deep down that something essential has begun. Say to their Creator. It is not a promise of ease, but the promise of a transformation that changes everything. The power of this call lies in its discretion. It does not break the peace with violence, but rather insinuates itself gently, like a ray of light in a dark room. Those who hear it will gradually be guided to a greater awareness of themselves and their relationship with Allah. Their faith will grow, their actions will be purified, and their spiritual path will become clearer, even if it remains difficult at times. June 1st, then, is much more than a date. It is an invitation to purification, to chosen solitude, to inner rebirth. These are the moments that shape the chosen ones, those who will one day walk proudly under the divine light, bearing a message of peace and wisdom in a world so desperately in need of it. Among the signs that only the chosen ones will be able to discern during this spiritual call, there is this feeling of a new strength unfolding within them, an inner courage that grows in the face of trials. This courage is not that of the world, which often manifests itself through anger or aggression, but a serene, profound courage which draws its source from trust in Allah. These are the hearts that, despite difficulties, do not bend, that advance with the certainty that each obstacle is a step towards a greater victory. Those who hear this call also experience a kind of detachment, not indifference to the world, but a conscious distance from that which might cause them to falter. They understand that life here is fleeting and that one should not become overly attached to it. This detachment is a blessing, for it protects them from the delusions and traps of the devil. It allows them to stay the course, avoid unnecessary distractions, and remain focused on their quest for Allah's pleasure. There is also an inner peace that begins to settle in their hearts, even though the external storms continue. This peace is a sign that the soul is beginning to harmonize with the divine will. It is like an anchor in the storm, an invincible refuge that no one can destroy. It is this peace that allows them not to give in to despair, to remain hopeful despite difficulties and invisible attacks. However, this path is not without struggles. The chosen ones face increasing temptations, voices that seek to divert them, doubts that insidiously creep in. But it is precisely in these moments that their faith is tested and strengthened. They learn to discern the voices of the heart from those of the ego or the devil, to listen to the word of Allah more than the whispers of the world. This period is a true test, a purification through resistance and perseverance. Those who pass this stage, remaining steadfast in their faith, will be rewarded with immense spiritual blessings, a greater closeness to their Lord, and increased light in their lives. June 1st thus marks a pivotal moment when the soul definitively chooses to surrender to Allah, to allow itself to be transformed and to move towards a path of truth and light. The inner transformation brought about by this spiritual call of June 1st does not stop at a simple momentary awakening. It is a dynamic that gradually develops, a journey toward a living and renewed faith. Those who respond to this call see their relationship with Allah strengthen each day. Their prayer becomes more sincere, their remembrance more frequent, and their hearts open to a deeper understanding of the signs the Creator sends them. They also feel a newfound love for the Quran, this eternal guide which becomes a source of comfort and inspiration. The verses resonate within them with a new clarity, as if revealed for the first time, filling their soul with a light that nothing else can bring. This closeness to the Book of Allah helps them face doubts and difficulties, as each verse becomes a solid pillar on which they can rely. This spiritual path is also marked by a heightened awareness of the false values of the material world. Those who heed this call begin to see beyond riches, honors, and fleeting pleasures. They understand that these things are merely illusions, traps that lead away from the ultimate truth. This awareness pushes them to gradually detach themselves from superficial attachments and embrace a life of simplicity, humility, and gratitude. Patience then becomes their greatest ally. Faced with trials, the misunderstandings of others, and life's challenges, they learn to persevere without losing confidence. They know that every difficulty is an opportunity to grow, a way to purify their faith and affirm their love for Allah. This patience is a clear sign of their election, for it testifies to a deep faith that is unshaken by external circumstances. Finally, they begin to radiate around them. Their inner transformation does not remain locked in their hearts. It manifests itself in their actions, in their behavior, and in their way of loving their neighbor. Their presence becomes a sign for others, a source of inspiration and peace. Thus, the June 1st call is not only a personal experience, but a movement that can change their environment, spreading the light of Allah where darkness seemed to reign. This path you have begun to trace through the spiritual call of June 1st is an endless journey toward nearness to Allah. It is not a point of arrival, but a commitment renewed each day, a constant struggle against yourself and against the temptations that seek to divert you from your quest. Those who hear this call know that true victory lies in perseverance, in faithfulness to the divine word despite the headwinds. The greatness of this calling also lies in the responsibility it confers. Being chosen by Allah does not only mean receiving favors, but also carrying a sacred burden, that of being an example, a beacon in the darkness. Your actions, your words, your behavior become a source of guidance for those seeking the truth. You are invited to embody wisdom, patience, and love. For this is how you will reflect the light of Allah in this world. This election also places you in front of intense challenges. The devil, aware of your worth, redoubles his efforts to lead you astray. The trials become more difficult, the doubts more insidious, and the temptations more pressing. But always remember that every trial is a test from Allah, an opportunity to demonstrate your loyalty and trust. Never lose hope, for the reward for those who stand firm is immense, both in this life and in the hereafter. It is essential to continue nourishing your soul through prayer, reading the Quran, dhikr, and meditation. These actions will strengthen you, uplift you, and allow you to remain connected to the source of all light. Also, surround yourself with brothers and sisters of faith, for community is a valuable support on this spiritual journey. Together, you will be stronger in the face of trials and more numerous in carrying the light of Allah. Finally, remember that this call of June 1st is an invitation to profound transformation, but also a promise that if you respond with sincerity, you will never be alone. Allah will always be near you, guiding each of your steps comforting your heart, and opening doors before you that you never imagined. This day marks the beginning of a new season in your life, a season of light, peace, and victory. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you, you who are listening to these words not by chance, but by divine will. For if you have stumbled upon this message today, perhaps Allah wants to remind you of a powerful truth. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You may be one of His chosen ones. There are souls on this earth who walk silently. It makes the forces of evil tremble. Servants whom Allah has chosen, purified by trial, strengthened by worship, hidden from the eyes of the world, but known in the heavens. And you, perhaps, are one of them. Have you ever wondered why you are so disturbing, even though you haven't harmed anyone? Why do people reject you, become jealous of you, distance themselves from you, or fight you for no apparent reason? It's not you they reject. It's the light of Allah they see in you. And this light burns hearts filled with envy, pride, or hypocrisy. It drives away hatred. It makes those who live in lies nervous. Let me tell you something. When Allah chooses a servant, He elevates him. He protects him. He equips him with an invisible force. And this force cannot be seen, but it can be felt. It commands respect, even in silence. It creates fear in those who live in injustice. This is why you who feel misunderstood, rejected, hurt, you may actually be a threat to the forces of darkness, simply because Allah has singled you out. This message is for you, so that you understand that you have not been pushed aside. You have been set apart. You are not rejected. You are protégé. And today, it is time to discover why hatreds flee when you advance. Why you have unknowingly become one of the most dangerous in the eyes of those who fight the truth. Not because you raised your voice, but because your heart turned to the Almighty. Prepare to hear what many don't dare to say. This message could very well be the reminder your soul has been waiting for. There are people whom Allah hides from the eyes of the world, but whom He strengthens from within. Their strength is not seen in muscles, nor in loud words, nor in appearances. It is buried deep within the heart, where the divine light descends. And when Allah chooses one of His servants, He begins by breaking down what is weak in him, to leave only that which relies on Him. He removes human support, illusions of control, emotional dependencies. He places you in situations where you can count only on Him. And it is there, in this apparent destitution, that He places a silent power, a light, a shield, a breath of endurance, a lucidity that the world does not understand. This is the invisible power of the elect. That is why you can be beaten, betrayed, defiled. But nothing can destroy you, for Allah has strengthened you from within. He has made you able to walk alone, to continue without gratitude, to smile in pain, to say Alhamdulillah, even with tears in your eyes. He has inscribed within you a patience which goes beyond logic, a tawakkul that amazes people, a confidence that intimidates even those who oppose you. And this strength is disturbing, because it doesn't come from this world. It doesn't depend on people's gaze or their validation. It is nourished in solitude with Allah, in secret prostrations, in night prayers. It is born when no one believes in you anymore, except the one who created you. The Prophet said, "Know that what you lacked was never meant to reach you, and that what reached you was never meant to be missed." Reported by At-Tirmidhi. This is how Allah educates His chosen ones. He detaches them from the world so that they may cling to Him alone. And once their faith becomes their only weapon, they become untouchables. Not because they are perfect, but because they are protégés. They may look ordinary, but what they carry within them is formidable for any injustice. So if you feel like you're going through storms, doors are closing, people are drifting away, maybe Allah is training you. Maybe He's equipping you, out of sight, for a mission that only a pure heart can accomplish. There's a reason you feel this sacred fire within you. It's not arrogance. It's the imprint of the one who chose you. There's something strange that happens when you begin to walk sincerely with Allah. It's not just your life that changes. It's also how others react to you. Suddenly, some friends become distant. Colleagues look at you differently. Even relatives start criticizing or avoiding you. And you wonder, what did I do wrong? But actually, you didn't do anything wrong. You just became a mirror. Yes, a living mirror that God uses to reveal what others carry within them. When a heart is pure, it reflects the light of Allah. And this light illuminates the truths that some want to hide. It disturbs those who live in lies, duplicity, or jealousy. It exposes realities that their souls are not ready to face. Allah's chosen ones do not seek to expose others, but their mere presence reveals. Their calmness brings out the agitation. Their sincerity exposes the manipulation. Their silence reveals the inner turmoil of others. And this is not because they are perfect, but because Allah has made them authentic. Remember how the Quraysh reacted to the Prophet. It was not because he was attacking. It was because he existed. Because he carried within him a light that their darkness could not tolerate. They insulted him, rejected him, fought him, not for what he did, but for what he represented. That is what it means to be dangerous. Not with weapons, but with truth that you carry. And you, if you are sincere with your Lord, if you purify your intention, if you live with integrity, you will become that same mirror. And the people around you will have to choose, either change or flee. That is why some will avoid you. Not because they truly hate you, but because your light reminds them of what they refuse to face. So don't be troubled by rejection, criticism, or hostility. Instead, be grateful. For it can be a clear sign Allah has made you a developer, and the more your light grows, the more the darkness around you will be put to flight. Some believe that Allah's chosen ones are elevated, protected from all harm, spared from human wounds. But it is often the opposite. They are wounded more often because their hearts are more sensitive. They see further, they feel more deeply. They discern what others ignore. Their heart is like an antenna connected to the divine. And this connection makes them vulnerable to the pains of this world, but powerful in the invisible. Allah never lets them fall, even when they are on their knees, even when everything seems broken around them. For in the midst of suffering, their soul rises. It detaches itself. It learns to breathe differently, with the breath of faith and no longer that of illusions. And it is in this divine school that the chosen ones become formidable. Not out of revenge, not out of pride, but because Allah gives them weapons that no one understands. He offers them a cold lucidity in the midst of betrayals, a strange peace in the midst of storms, a strength hidden in apparent weakness. They do not need to speak loudly, for their presence speaks. They do not need to convince, for their sincerity is enough. And those who hate them end up fleeing not because they are powerful by human standards, but because their silence accuses, their gaze testifies, their patience judges. And you, who are listening to these words, perhaps feel this fire within you. Perhaps you no longer recognize yourself in this world. You no longer tolerate false smiles, masks, pretenses. You are in pain, but you continue. You are tired, but you move forward. And all this is not a sign that you are lost. Perhaps, on the contrary, it is a sign that you are being shaped. You are being formed in secret, like a diamond polished away from view. You are being taught in silence, like a soldier being prepared for a war that no one sees. Don't minimize what you're going through. The trials you're going through may be proof that you're seen, that you're loved, that you're called. For Allah, when He wants to elevate a servant, He breaks him first, not to punish him, but to purify him, so that he has nothing but Him. And when a heart belongs only to Allah, then it becomes a spiritual weapon against all the falsehoods of this world. There is a truth that many ignore. The closer you sincerely draw to Allah, the more you will disturb the people who live far from Him. You have done nothing to them. You have not judged them. You have simply changed. And this change, even silent, confronts them with what they do not want to see. When you become aligned with your Creator, you emanate something that cannot be imitated, a peace, a light, a certainty. And this energy scares away twisted hearts, because it reminds them of what they have abandoned, what they have betrayed, what they have forgotten. Don't be surprised if some people slander you, even though you've always treated them with respect. Don't be surprised if faces change as soon as you walk into a room. It's not you who's the problem. It's the presence of Allah within you. You've become a living reminder. Your silence speaks louder than words. Your righteousness is a slap in the face for those who have chosen compromise. You don't seek to dominate. You only seek to obey. And that's what's disturbing. Your obedience to Allah is an implicit refusal to obey the passions of others. When Allah wants to elevate one of His servants, He cleanses him of everything that weighs him down. He rids him of false supports, toxic dependencies, and useless ties. You lose some people, and you think it's a punishment. But it's actually a liberation. Allah frees you from what slows you down so that you can walk freely towards Him. And in this freedom, you become dangerous. Not in the human sense, but in the spiritual sense. Dangerous for lies, dangerous for hypocrisy, dangerous for those who want to extinguish the light that Allah has lit within you. And every time you move forward despite loneliness, every time you say, Ya Allah, when you have no one left, every time you refuse to sell yourself, even for a little comfort, you rise. You move away from the invisible chains that bind souls to the lower world. You become lighter, truer, closer to your essence. And those who observed you with a superior eye begin to fear you. Not because of you, but because of what you represent. A soul that nothing can corrupt. A heart that beats only for its Lord. A will that even storms cannot extinguish. There is a mystery in how Allah works with the hearts He loves. He shapes them in pain, builds them in silence, strengthens them in surrender. What the world sees as a fall, Allah uses as a springboard. What people interpret as rejection is often protection. And what you feel is an end is actually only a beginning. When you are rejected and misunderstood, isolated, it does not mean that you no longer have value. It means that you have been set apart, set aside for a higher purpose. For Allah never allows His chosen ones to remain in the crowd when He wants to entrust them with a sacred burden. And this is where your true transformation begins. Not in public, but in private. Not in front of the cameras, but in your most sincere prostrations. It is when your heart truly breaks that the light begins to penetrate. It is when you cry unseen that heaven sends its angels. It is when you no longer seek to be understood that you are truly understood by the one who created you. And in this intimacy, you become a bearer of a secret that few can bear. True closeness to Allah. This closeness cannot be explained. It must be felt. It gives you an invisible strength that challenges the established order, a lucidity that cuts through lies, an inner stability that disarms even your detractors. Those who seek to harm you sense that there is something in you they cannot reach. They attack, but you remain standing. They manipulate, but you remain upright. They speak, but your silence hits them harder than their words. And it's not because you are better, it's because Allah supports you. And when Allah supports a heart, nothing can extinguish it. If you knew how much your faith disturbs those who have everything but inner peace. If you knew how much your authenticity hurts those who live in a mask. If you knew how your hope in Allah makes those who stake everything on this lower world tremble. You would never doubt your worth again. You would understand that your pain has meaning, that your silence is heard, that your struggle is seen. You have not been abandoned. You are simply being lifted up, slowly, surely, powerfully. There is a mystery in how Allah works with the hearts He loves. He shapes them in pain, builds them in silence, strengthens them in surrender. What the world sees as a fall, Allah uses as a springboard. What people interpret as rejection is often protection. And what you feel is an end is actually only a beginning. When you are rejected, misunderstood, isolated, it does not mean that you no longer have value. It means that you have been set apart, set aside for a higher purpose. For Allah never allows His chosen ones to remain in the crowd when He wants to entrust them with a sacred burden. And this is where your true transformation begins. Not in public, but in private. Not in front of the cameras, but in your most sincere prostrations. It is when your heart truly breaks that the light begins to penetrate. It is when you cry unseen that heaven sends its angels. It is when you no longer seek to be understood that you are truly understood by the one who created you. And in this intimacy, you become a bearer of a secret that few can bear. True closeness to Allah. This closeness cannot be explained. It must be felt. It gives you an invisible strength that challenges the established order. A lucidity that cuts through lies. An inner stability that disarms even your detractors. Those who seek to harm you sense that there is something in you they cannot reach. They attack, but you remain standing. They manipulate, but you remain upright. They speak, but your silence hits them harder than their words. And it's not because you are better, it's because Allah supports you. And when Allah supports a heart, nothing can extinguish it. If you knew how much your faith disturbs those who have everything but inner peace. If you knew how much your authenticity hurts those who live in a mask. If you knew how your hope in Allah makes those who stake everything on this lower world tremble, you would never doubt your worth again. You would understand that your pain has meaning, that your silence is heard, that your struggle is seen. You have not been abandoned. You are simply being lifted up, slowly, surely, powerfully. Never underestimate what you are becoming. Every moment you spend fighting against yourself, resisting temptations, rising to pray when your soul is heavy, every glance you avert, every word you hold back, every tear shed in secret, all of this is seen, all of it matters, all of it builds a being that the world can never destroy. You don't see it yet, but in the invisible, something is taking shape. Allah is refining you. He's elevating you. He's preparing you for things you could not bear if you were still attached to what you were yesterday. What you are going through is not by chance. This rejection, this loneliness, these hidden pains, this feeling that no one understands your depths. All of this is an answer to a prayer you made, perhaps without realizing it. You asked to be close to Allah. You asked to be sincere. You asked to no longer live in illusions. Then Allah began to cut, to remove, to purify. What hurts today is what was weighing you down without you realizing it. And what you are losing now, you will thank Him later for no longer having it. Because you cannot ascend with the baggage of a life you are leaving behind. Look at what you are becoming. A soul that depends solely on Allah. A heart that nothing can buy. A presence that disturbs even without speaking. You are not dangerous because you are frightening, but because you are no longer afraid. You no longer sell yourself. You no longer chase after people's acceptance. You have learned to be alone with God, and this solitude has transformed into power. The world does not understand this kind of strength. It does not shout, it does not explode, it does not show itself. It advances quietly, but it overturns everything in its path. Allah chose you. He isolated you to better arm you. He made you go through pain so that you would recognize peace when it comes. He removed you from public view so that you would focus on His. And now that you have survived what others would not have endured, you have a new outlook on life. You are no longer here to impress, but to embody. You are no longer pretending. You have become real. And the souls who live in falsehood will have no choice but to distance themselves. Not because you are violent, but because your light exposes them. Because your calm is unbearable for those who live in tumult. Because your love for Allah becomes a living reminder that many have turned their backs on their essence. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Today, we are discussing a profound and powerful subject, a message addressed to those whom Allah has chosen, even when the world did not yet know them. Chosen one, they did not know you, but now they know that you are a chosen one. These words resonate as a universal truth in the journey of every sincere believer who seeks closeness to Allah. What does it mean to be one of Allah's chosen ones? Being chosen does not mean being perfect, nor being exempt from trials. On the contrary, it is a divine election, a sacred calling that distinguishes those whose hearts are turned toward the Creator, those who persist in faith despite difficulties. It is an honor, but also a heavy responsibility. At first, no one recognizes you. You are in the shadows, perhaps even ignored or misunderstood. Your sincerity, your patience, your perseverance remain invisible to the eyes of the world. But it is in this discretion, in this silence, that the light begins to grow. You move forward step by step, guided by the will of Allah, even when others reject you or doubt you. Your faith is not based on human approval, but on the inner certainty that you are on the right path. And it is this certainty that makes the difference. When the time comes, when Allah decides to reveal your worth, the whole world begins to see the light that radiates from you. Those who did not know you before, then realize that they have before them a chosen one, a servant chosen for a divine purpose. This recognition does not come by chance or vanity. It is the fruit of silent work, of a profound inner transformation that only faith can bring about. Today, we will explore this journey, the spiritual metamorphosis that transforms a simple believer into a chosen one of Allah, recognized not for his strength or power, but for his closeness to the Most High and his commitment to serving his cause. May this video be a source of inspiration and strength for all those who aspire to this spiritual elevation. Being chosen by Allah is a powerful concept that goes far beyond what the world can comprehend. In Islam, divine election is not based on superficial criteria such as wealth, beauty, or popularity, but on profound spiritual qualities. Allah chooses His chosen ones based on their sincere faith, total submission, patience in the face of hardship, and perseverance in the path of righteousness. This is not a title bestowed lightly, but a sacred trust, entrusted to those distinguished by their love of Allah and their devotion to His word. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that certain servants are chosen to perform specific tasks, to be living examples of divine mercy and bringers of light in the darkness of the world. This divine choice does not depend on human will, but on the infinite wisdom of Allah, who knows hearts and intentions. So, even if you go unnoticed by human eyes, know that Allah knows you better than anyone and has a perfect plan for you. This choice doesn't always result in visible honors or immediate recognition. Often, it begins in the shadows, with silent struggles, inner battles that no one sees. You may be going through a difficult time where your faith is tested, doubt creeps in, and discouragement threatens. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that the Chosen One reveals Himself. Through your patience, endurance, and steadfastness, you affirm your place among those whom Allah has chosen. Being chosen also means being guided. Allah illuminates the path of those He loves. You will feel an inner strength, a peace that surpasses all understanding, and a light that dispels the darkness around you. This divine guidance will enable you to discern truth from falsehood, to choose what pleases Allah, and to reject what distances you from Him. Even if the world rejects you, even if the obstacles seem insurmountable, you are sustained by an invisible force, a divine support that never fails. Remember that being chosen by Allah is a tremendous honor, but also a call to responsibility. You are called to be an example, a model of faith and righteousness. This choice is a light in your life, a beacon that should illuminate not only your path, but also that of others. The world may overlook your worth at first, but Allah Himself recognizes you and prepares you for an important role in His creation. Before others recognize you as the Chosen One, you often go through a phase of anonymity, a time when no one sees your value or your commitment. This time of darkness is a trial, but also a time of purification. In this silence, away from prying eyes, your heart is shaped, your faith refined, and your soul purified. It is in this apparent solitude that the Chosen One grows, strengthens, and prepares for the light that will come later. Most of the chosen ones have experienced this invisibility, this rejection, or even this incomprehension from those around them. They have been mocked, ignored, even criticized. But they never let themselves be discouraged, because they knew that their worth did not depend on the opinion of men, but on the acceptance and love of Allah. This inner confidence is what allowed them to continue moving forward, despite difficulties and isolation. This time of anonymity is a gift from Allah, a sacred moment where you can fully focus on your connection with Him. You learn to know yourself, identify your weaknesses, ask for forgiveness, and correct yourself. This process of inner transformation is essential for you to be ready to receive the light that will distinguish you from others. Without this step, divine election cannot be fully accomplished. It is also important to understand that this phase of invisibility is not a rejection, but a preparation. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, used this time to purify you like refining gold in a crucible. You become more patient, more humble, and more sincere. Your actions, even invisible to human eyes, are precious in the eyes of Allah. They build the solid foundations on which your spiritual greatness will rest. This period also allows you to protect yourself from the dangers of pride and vanity. By remaining in the shadows, you avoid the pitfalls of human gratitude, which can easily corrupt the heart. You learn to be sincere only before Allah, to seek His pleasure alone. And it is this pure sincerity that will make you shine later, when Allah decides to reveal you to the world. As you progress along this spiritual path, profound changes begin to appear in your life and behavior. These visible signs are proof that you are truly one of Allah's chosen ones, and that your inner transformation is manifesting itself externally. You become a model of wisdom and patience, not through your own strength, but because the divine light illuminates your actions. Your response to challenges changes. Where previously you might have given in to discouragement or anger, you now find peace and serenity. This unwavering patience is a rare quality, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Those around you begin to notice your calm in the face of difficulties, your ability to forgive even those who have hurt you. This attracts respect, sometimes even admiration, although the goal is never to seek human recognition. Your distance from evil influences also becomes evident. You carefully choose your companions and avoid situations that could divert you from the path of Allah. This discipline is further proof of your commitment and sincerity. The pious deeds you perform, whether regular prayer, fasting, charity, or reciting the Quran, become a light that illuminates those around you, even if you don't seek to promote yourself. Your way of speaking also changes. You avoid unnecessary talk, gossip, and arguments. Instead, you favor words that soothe, that encourage, and that bring you closer to the teachings of Allah. This language, imbued with gentleness and respect, strengthens the impact you have on others, even those who do not yet share your faith. Ultimately, these visible signs in your daily life are the concrete manifestation of the divine presence within you. They show that the chosen one is not just an abstract idea, but a living reality. Through your actions, you draw to Allah those who were previously distant. You become a bridge between hearts, a light in a world sometimes obscured by ignorance and mistrust. The time finally comes when those who did not know you before begin to recognize that you are one of Allah's chosen ones. This recognition is not simply an effect of popularity or reputation, but a profound awareness among those around you, your community, and even those who previously viewed you with indifference or skepticism. They now see the light that shines within you, that light that only sincere faith can ignite. This shift in others' perceptions can provoke a multitude of reactions. Some will be astonished, surprised to see how much you have grown spiritually, how your faith and steadfastness shine through. Others may feel jealous, recognizing in you a strength they don't possess, a special bond with Allah they envy. But whatever their reaction, they can no longer deny that you are a chosen one, a servant chosen by the Almighty. This recognition brings with it a new weight of expectations and responsibilities. You become an example, a role model, not only through your words but also through your daily actions. People look to you for answers, guidance, and wisdom that goes beyond mere knowledge. It is a sacred role, a burden you carry with humility, knowing that it is Allah who has given you this place. However, this public recognition can also bring challenges. Jealousy, criticism, and sometimes even attacks can multiply. But this is precisely where the true strength of the chosen one is revealed. In the face of these challenges, you continue to rely on your faith, to demonstrate patience and perseverance. You know that this election is not a protection against difficulties, but an invitation to overcome them with dignity and courage. It is also essential to never forget where you come from. This path traveled in the shadows. These moments of anonymity remain a source of humility that prevents you from falling into pride. You continue to seek Allah's pleasure, to purify yourself, to pray that your light never fades. And this is how the recognition of men becomes a further testimony to the greatness of Allah, who elevates whomever He wills according to His wisdom. With this growing recognition, a new dimension opens up before you, that of spiritual influence. Being one of Allah's chosen ones means not only being recognized, but also bearing the responsibility to inspire, guide, and uplift the souls around you. You become a beacon in the night, a source of hope for those seeking light in a world often filled with confusion and despair. Your example inspires not only your family and loved ones, but also people you don't even know. Through your patience, kindness, and sincerity, you bring about invisible but profound changes in hearts. These spiritual fruits are the reward of a life devoted to Allah, but also a powerful testimony for the Muslim community and beyond. You realize that your role is not limited to your own spirituality, but extends to a broader service, that of conveying Allah's message with wisdom, compassion, and humility. This mission requires great inner strength, as you often face resistance, misunderstanding, and even opposition. Yet you persevere, knowing that your cause is just and that Allah's support is constant. In this stage, you also develop a greater awareness of your place in history and in the community of believers. You understand that you are part of a spiritual chain that connects the prophets, the saints, and all the servants of Allah who have worked for truth and justice. This awareness helps you stay grounded, remain humble despite recognition, and always strive to improve yourself. Your life becomes a living testament to the power of faith, and a reminder to all that divine choice is not a fleeting reward, but an eternal commitment. Every action, every word, every intention is now guided by this sacred bond that unites you to Allah. You understand that your light must continue to shine, even in the darkest moments, for this is how Allah's promise is fully manifested. Ultimately, being recognized as one of Allah's chosen ones does not mean the end of the journey, but rather a new beginning, a call to an even deeper and more sincere commitment. This step is perhaps the most crucial of all, as it reveals the full responsibility and spiritual weight that a chosen one carries. It is no longer simply a matter of self, but a sacred mission to bring light, wisdom, and peace to those around oneself, embodying the eternal values of Islam. At this stage, you face greater challenges, as the chosen one also attracts attention, sometimes jealousy, sometimes even hatred from those who do not understand or reject the truth. But it is precisely in these moments of opposition that your spiritual strength is fully manifested. The chosen one is like an unwavering beacon in the midst of the storm, a solid rock that does not give way to contrary winds. You learn to rely solely on Allah, to draw on His wisdom and mercy, to overcome these trials with courage and patience. The spiritual struggle is sometimes lonely. You may feel isolated, misunderstood, even by those who love you. Yet, it is in this solitude that your relationship with Allah becomes most intimate and profound. You discover that your true strength comes not from men, but from your connection with your Creator. This divine closeness brings you an unshakable inner peace, a light that illuminates every step you take, even in moments of darkness. Being a chosen one also means being a force for change. You are called to transform hearts, sow justice, and spread love and peace. Your words become a balm for wounded souls, a call to repentance and reform. You embody prophetic wisdom, guiding without imposing, loving without judging. This mission requires great humility, for you know that all power and influence comes from Allah alone, and that without Him, you can accomplish nothing. Sometimes you are tempted to doubt, to wonder if you are up to this heavy burden. But each time, Allah reminds you of His promise, supports you with His signs and blessings. Your successes, however modest, are proof that you are on the right path. Every smile you provoke, every heart you soothe, every soul you bring closer to the truth is a spiritual victory, a living testimony to the power of divine election. It is also essential to keep in mind that the chosen one never works alone. You are part of a community, an ummah, where every believer has a role to play. Together, you form a network of light, a set of spiritual forces united to defend the truth and spread peace. This solidarity strengthens your commitment, encourages you to persevere despite difficulties, and reminds you that Allah's election is as collective as it is individual. Finally, dear brother, dear sister, it is essential to always keep in mind one essential truth. This divine election that you carry, this place that you occupy as the chosen one of Allah, is above all a temporary honor here below, but an eternal honor in the hereafter. Everything that you experience in this world, all this human recognition, all this light that illuminates you among men, is only fleeting, ephemeral in the face of the infinite grandeur of the hereafter that Allah has prepared for His faithful servants. Never let human glory, however alluring, become your primary objective. The true quest, the one that transcends the limits of time and space, is to please Allah. It is in this aspiration that the true meaning of your election lies. What Allah's chosen ones truly seek is not the recognition of men or their applause, but the pleasure of their Lord. Therein lies the source of peace and true bliss. As the Prophet Muhammad taught us, hearts find rest only by turning towards Allah, by seeking His pleasure and His mercy. Human recognition, however flattering, remains a reflection, a shadow that can disappear as quickly as it appeared. It is one sign among others, certainly. But what truly matters is Allah's gaze on your heart, your intentions, your actions. He is the one who knows most deeply your sincerity, your patience, your effort. In His eyes, it is not popularity or apparent greatness that matter, but purity of intention and steadfastness in faith. The Quran reminds us that what matters in the sight of Allah is piety and sincerity of heart. Surah Al-Bayyinah 98:5.